Good morning, boys and girls. It's Fido Day 11, Monday, March 30th. I'm really happy to be here with you today. I wish we were in person in our classroom, but not able to be there just yet. What you are seeing here in front of you is my instructions for Fido Day 11, March 30th. Today we're going to subtract mixed numbers. Last week we worked on adding mixed numbers. Subtracting mixed numbers is very, very similar to adding mixed numbers. Just like adding unlike fractions was a lot like subtracting unlike fractions. So today together we're going to do pages 684 and 685 together. You are going to do pages 685 to 686, numbers 3 through 16. And then you're going to complete page 687 to submit, to take a picture and email it to my email address, amanda.steve@westernbeaver.org. Any questions with that? So what I would like you to do is, if you don't have your note packet, please get your gold note packet. And if you do not have your math book, please get your math book so that we can do the work that we need to do today. So if you don't mind pausing the video, you can go ahead and get what you need. Okay. You should be on page 684. I do not like the way that they did the example on page 683, so that's why we're going to look at this example on page 684. All right? The first thing they're having you do is they want you to subtract 6 and 11/16 minus 2 and 5/8. Everybody okay there? And if you look at that, the 6 and 11/16, they estimated it to be 7. And the 2 and 5/8, they estimated it to be 3. And 7 minus 3 is 4. So right there on that line, you're going to write 4. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to adjust this camera a little bit. Let's see if I can maybe lower it down so that my book is a little bit closer to the camera, and see if, oh, that's so much better, isn't it, boys and girls? Okay, that's so much better. Great. Now we're going to take a look at this step 1, because this is just our estimate for. We're going to actually do this subtraction problem. And in your notes, if you look at your notes, you're going to see that the directions there tell you to subtract the fractions first. We're going to subtract our fractions first. So the fractions in this are 11/16 and 5/8. Well, we know that we need to force their denominator to be the same. And if you bring your eyes over here, they're showing you how you can change the 5/8 so that it has a 16 on the bottom. Right here. If you do 8 times 2, you get your 16. Now on top, we also need to multiply by 2. So we're going to do 5 times 2 is 10. And we're just going to bring our whole number over. And down here, we're going to copy down that 10/16 we just made. So let's subtract our fractions first. Now that they are like fractions, we can subtract 11/16 minus 10/16 fairly easily. We subtract our numerators. 11 minus 10 is 1. We keep our denominator the same, which is 16. Now let's subtract our whole numbers. Our whole numbers are 6 minus 2. 6 minus 2 is 4. So the answer over here is 4 1/16. Remember, our estimate we did was 4, and that is very close to 4 1/16. So we can feel really confident about this answer. We're going to do 2 more examples down here at the bottom of the page, right here. We're going to estimate first, then we're going to write the difference in simplest form. Everybody see that with me? There we go. 4 2/3. 4 2/3. Well, 2/3 is greater than a half. So I'm going to round 4 2/3 up to 5. 2 1/3. 1/3 is less than a half. So I'm going to round 2 1/3 down to just 2. And my estimate there is 3. I'm going to pull out the 2/3 and the 1/3, and I'm going to subtract them. 2 minus 1 is 1. Keep my 3 on the bottom the same. Then I'm going to look over here at my whole numbers. 4 minus 2 is 2. So there we have it. So we subtract the fractions, we subtract the whole numbers. Let's compare it to our estimate. 2 1/3 is very close to our estimate of 3. We can feel good about that answer. Look at number 2 with me. 5 5/4. Well, 5/4 is greater than a half, so I'm going to round that 5 up to 6. 2/5. 2/5 is less than 1/2, so I'm going to round 3 2/5 down to 3, and I get an estimate of 3. Let's subtract our fractions. Right here, we can subtract these exactly as they are because they are like fractions. 4 minus 2 is 2. Keep the denominator a 5. And over here, we can subtract 5 minus 3 is 2. 2 2/5, very close to our estimate of 3. We can feel good about that answer. Double check that, boys and girls. Go ahead and pause the video for just a second until you can get to page 685. And we're going to look at a few together. The first one that we're going to look together is number 3. I want to do number 3 together because in this example, the fractions, the denominators are not the same. So we're going to work together to make these two denominators the same. I know I can make a 2 a 4. If I multiply 2 times 2, that 2 becomes a 4. If I multiply the bottom by 2, I have to multiply the top by 2. So my fraction I'm going to use instead of 1/2, I'm going to say 2/4. The fraction on 5 3/4 is 3/4. 3/4 take away 2/4. Well, what does that equal? Well, 3 take away 2 is 1. My denominator stays the same. That stays 1/4. Over here, 5 take away 2 is 3. 3 1/4. Something that I did forget to do was I forgot to estimate. So over here, I'm going to do that real quick so I can check this answer and see if I feel good about it. 5 3/4, that's going to round up to 6 because 3/4 is greater than half. 2 1/2, that's exactly a half. Half always rounds up, so this is going to be 3. A good estimate for number 3 is 3. The correct answer is 3 1/4. I feel really good about my answer here. Double check your work. We're going to do one more together. We're going to skip over and we're going to do number 5. You can go back and do number 4 on your own in just a bit. Again, we need to make the denominator in the fraction part of these mixed numbers the same. I know I can turn that 3 into a 9 if I multiply by 3. You must change the numerator by multiplying by 3 as well to get 3 9s. 8 9s minus 3 9s. We're all set up. 8 minus 3 is 5. Keep my denominator the same. Over here, 7 minus 5 is 2 as my whole number. I'm going to do a quick estimate here because it does say to estimate and then subtract. 7 and 8 9s. 8 9s is way more than half. So I'm going to round that 7 and 8 9s up to 8. 5 and 1/3. 1/3 is